If you live in the United States and you're tired of Jeeps and Ford Rangers and S10s and Toyota Tacoma pickups, you know that if it's older than 25 years, you can import from the entire world unique, one-of-a-kind 4x4s like the Mitsubishi Delica.
Yeah, I call it Vondre the Giant.
Vondre.
So this is a 1991 Mitsubishi Delica. Started its life in Japan and eventually made its way to Canada, where I bought it in early 2020.
Is that a fridge?
It's a cool box.
A cool box?
And a hot box.
No way.
You look inside, might be a little ice cube tray in there.
Wow. That's just a stock Mitsubishi part.
Yeah.
I looked it up, and the Delica van and pickup launched in July of 1968, but to me the Delica as we know it today began when they launched the four-wheel drive version in 1982. A lot of people in big cities forget that most of the world is either farmland or rugged and uninhabited. Small, affordable Japanese four-wheel drives changed the basic way of life for much of the planet and made travel from village to village more accessible to your average person. The funny thing is that here in the United States, a four-wheel drive van is almost a novelty because of our infrastructure, but these modes of transportation are a staple in places that need an affordable way to move goods and people from one place to another. In my opinion, the Delica and vehicles like the Delica proved to be the tool that these small communities needed to keep up with an ever-evolving and fast-paced and fast-changing world.
So these vans do pretty well off-road. They're always surprising people. They have a really short wheelbase and they're pretty narrow, so you can kind of sneak into some wooded trails that a lot of bigger vehicles can't. That said, there are some limitations. Stock wheel size is about a 29, and it's IFS, solid axle in the rear. So as far as big rocks, you kind of have to watch your wheel placement. They look super tippy, but they're actually pretty stable. That said, they also feel really tippy inside. So it's a balance of what you can stomach out there, but they do pretty well.
Just like me or many of you watching this channel, Nick used this first 4x4 as an opportunity to get some new skills, learn how to work on his own vehicle, learn how to fabricate your first projects. And between the bumpers, the sliders, there's many different details all over this thing. Nick has used this van to be an educator, to give himself the skills to build whatever he wants.
First fab project on the van, actually my first fab project ever was building the exhaust. So I bought a multi-process welder and decided I wanted to learn how to do some TIG. So I welded up a stainless exhaust. The one I had on it when I bought the van was it was rusted out completely. So it was a good first project. After that, I kind of gained some confidence and decided I wanted to build a front bumper. I didn't really have any idea what I was doing, but just went and bought some steel and ripped the front end off and started going to work. After the front bumper went well, decided I wanted a tire carrier. I did have the spare up top on the roof rack, and you could feel the weight up there. So it wouldn't fit underneath the van in the stock location, so I needed a swing out.
So what made you decide to build the IFS versus just doing a straight axle in the front?
I mean, diving into straight axle swaps seemed... Okay, before I met you, Nate, diving into a solid axle swap felt very overwhelming. At this point, I think I could figure it out, but not yet.
Your average Joe probably go the same route you did. Just beef up the IFS a little bit. It's not that expensive in these. You're just getting used parts from other stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, and when I got this van, I wasn't sure I was gonna want to crawl rocks and do some more hardcore stuff either. It's like, just getting out into wilderness and, you know, doing some trails here and there. IFS is perfect for that.
The ride's nice. I think it ride's nice.
It floats, like you said, and it can go into like wave runner mode, where the front bounces a little bit, but
Totally.
yeah, it's not too bad.
The wheels are a method bead grip, and it allows Nick to air these 35 1250 KO2s down to whatever pressure he wants, and so far, so good. So here you're seeing like 3 or 4 PSI, nice and low, perfect for the kind of snowy conditions that we have up here, and it allows this van to punch pretty far above its weight class.
So the engine is under the front seats, so working on that can be a challenge. You've got to, well, everything's pretty tightly packed in there. It's a small platform, and the rear drive shaft's really short, so as you lift this vehicle, you got to get the angles right or it'll vibrate. And then you're working with, you know, 84 horsepower, so getting an engine to turn big wheels and make enough power to still drive on the highway is a bit of a challenge.
This van is such a beautiful example of a budget-friendly, fully functional project that's living, breathing. It's something that's going to be ever-evolving, and I love that whenever Nick and I go out and he brings his van, that, you know, all of us are setting up camp and all this stuff, and he basically just puts the transmission in park and hops out. He's ready to rock and roll.
The interior is something I've been putting off. I don't know why, but it needs a proper full build. Right now it's minimal and it's versatile, and I still have the front captain's row seats, but I would like something a bit more permanent with electronics and, you know, battery power, just like an overall quality of life upgrade. Yeah, I've always liked cars, but I haven't really dug into how they work, and done a ton of mechanical work. But, you know, 5 or 6 years later, I'm pulling transmissions. I've had the motor out, re-gearing axles, installing lockers. Pretty much, I've touched every bolt on this van at this point. So, before the van, I didn't really have a great reason to buy a welder, a grinder, and tools like that to fab stuff. At least not in a major way. So yeah, having this van has kind of opened the door to all these fabrication possibilities that I didn't know existed. And, you know, my skills kind of grew from there, building stuff as needed or as wanted.
The first time I saw one of these vans was probably 12-ish years ago in Seattle when I was working up there, and I have wanted one ever since. And now that I've got Nick, you know, bringing his to work every day, I see one in my driveway every day. I want one of these so bad. I'm not in a position right now to build one, but long term, you will very likely see me build one of these vans on the channel, and I've got some ideas to make one pretty wild and pretty fun. But until then, if you want to see more of this van, we're going to be doing more outings where Nick's going to come along, and we're going to be pushing this thing. He really wants to take it on the Rubicon, and I think that getting one of these Delicas through the Rubicon would be super cool. And with a front winch bumper and front and rear lockers and all the work that he's done to this thing, re-gearing the transfer case, re-gearing the diffs, I think that it's got what it takes to get through a big trail like that. And the idea of a van doing the Rubicon, to me, is just super cool and very inspiring to see one-of-a-kind builds like this getting out there and being used. Look at that view. Jeez. There's a Sublime album called Stand By Your Van. You're living it, brother. Are you gonna keep it? And would you recommend someone else get one?
I'm gonna keep it for sure. I think if you are curious about these vans or other JDM vehicles, you got to be willing to at least try to turn a wrench on them. They're all 30 years old, and
they're gonna need stuff.
They're gonna need little things, and you don't want to count on finding a mechanic for something silly that you can figure out yourself. So yes, they are a lot of fun. I do recommend you get one, but know that even if you find a low miles version, it's still going to come with all the territory that an old vehicle will bring you.
Especially one that came from a salty island.
Yeah. So, like, rubber bushings deteriorate over time, you know, engine mounts, transmission stuff. But yeah, I mean, do it. It's a lot of fun.
But overall, Delica equals fun.
It does, yeah.
I hope you enjoyed this little walk around. I'm getting back to my roots. I love walk arounds. So I know that these are not going to do much for my channel, but I enjoy doing them. And I know that some of you guys appreciate this stuff. So if you do appreciate it, thumbs up, all that other stuff YouTubers tell you to do. Thank you for watching. We'll see you on the next one.